Welcome back to my YouTube channel where coins aren't just spare change, they're legends waiting to be discovered. If you've been following us, you know that some of the greatest treasures in history haven't been locked away in vaults or buried in forgotten deserts. Some of them have sat silently in pocket change, passed unknowingly through countless hands. Today, we dive into a jaw-dropping tale, the story of the 2014 1-cent coin that stunned the world with a value of $325 million. That's not a typo. This isn't your everyday copper piece. This coin changed lives, shattered auction records, and sparked a chase across continents. So, get comfortable, because what you're about to hear is as unbelievable as it is true, well, at least in our world where imagination fuels the wildest possibilities. It all began in a quiet suburb of Boulder, Colorado. A man named Elliot Jennings, a retired mechanical engineer with a mild obsession for metal detecting and coin collecting, lived a peaceful life with his wife Sandra. Elliot wasn't wealthy by any means, but he loved spending his days at flea markets, garage sales, and the occasional old estate auction looking for interesting finds. His collection was modest, mostly buffalo nickels, worn mercury dimes, and a couple of steel cents from 1943, but he knew every piece by heart. On a gray Thursday morning in early March of 2021, Elliot attended a moving sale hosted by a recently widowed woman in her 70s. Her late husband had been a banker, and she'd decided it was time to part with his extensive collection of antique items. Elliot wasn't expecting much. He browsed through vintage clocks, dusty books, and tarnished silverware. Then he noticed a weathered cigar box tucked behind a pile of old newspapers on a forgotten shelf in the garage. Out of habit, he asked the woman if it was for sale. "Oh, that old thing," she said with a faint laugh. "Just some old coins Henry kept. He swore they'd be worth something someday. You're welcome to it for $5. Elliot, intrigued, paid and left. He waited until he got home to open the box. Inside were several small coin rolls, some individual pieces in plastic sleeves, and a few loose ones that clinked together as he sorted them. Most were common, nothing that would make a seasoned collector blink. But one coin stopped him cold. A 2014 Lincoln cent. At first glance, it looked unremarkable. Slightly shinier than the others but still modern and well circulated. He nearly dismissed it until something about the mint mark caught his eye. The D looked off. It wasn't misaligned, but it had an unusual doubling, a phenomenon known to collectors as a double die. He pulled out his magnifying glass and scrutinized it. Not only was the D doubled, but the entire 1 cent inscription on the reverse had a strange but sharp doubling pattern. The Lincoln Memorial was missing altogether. In its place was what appeared to be a raised etching, something like a torch surrounded by 13 stars, an odd design not used in any known U.S. cent. Elliot couldn't find any references to such a variation online. His collector forums were stumped. A few members suggested it could be a fake or some kind of commemorative novelty. But Elliot knew counterfeits, and this wasn't one. The coin had all the characteristics of a genuine U.S. mint product. The weight, composition, edges, it all matched up, except for the design anomaly. He sent the coin to a professional grading company, CoinGrader International, for authentication. It came back with the rarest label possible, 1 of 1, unknown variant, genuine mint origin. That was enough to start a whirlwind in the numismatic world. Collectors from across the globe started bidding before it even hit an official auction. Rumors spread that it might be a test design never released to the public, accidentally struck at the Denver Mint and somehow slipped through the cracks. Theories flew like wildfire. One said it was a forgotten prototype commemorating the 150th anniversary of the Civil War's end, which aligned with 2015 but was prepared early. Another proposed it was a secret design made for diplomatic gifts, never meant to be circulated. A third, more bizarre theory suggested it had been minted by accident using a die intended for an ultra-rare cent created for a secret time capsule project organized by the Smithsonian. Regardless of the theory, one thing was clear: this coin was like no other. An anonymous private collector offered Elliot $3 million immediately. He refused. A month later, a Saudi billionaire doubled that offer. Still, Elliot held out. He wasn't chasing money. He wanted to know the truth behind the coin. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint remained silent. Reporters contacted their offices repeatedly, but their only response was that no known variation of a 2014 1-cent coin with an alternate reverse design existed. Coin forums exploded with debates. Conspiracy theories arose. Some claimed the mint had created a micro-run of ultra-exclusive coins as part of a clandestine project and one had escaped. Others believed the coin had been minted by a rogue engraver, something not unprecedented in numismatic history. 6 months later, the coin was finally brought to public auction at Morley's International, a house known for handling historic treasures. The event was heavily publicized. The coin was now nicknamed the Liberty Torch Cent by the collecting community. Bidders flew in from all corners of the world. Security was tighter than most state functions. The coin sat in a vacuum-sealed display case under bulletproof glass. When the gavel dropped, the winning bid stood at $325 million. It was the highest amount ever paid for a coin in history. The buyer, still unnamed, was rumored to be a media mogul from South Korea who had recently launched a new museum of rare American artifacts. Elliot became an overnight legend. News outlets camped outside his home. He was featured in documentaries, invited to conferences, even offered a book deal. But Elliot didn't let the fame consume him. He used part of the proceeds to start a scholarship fund for students studying history and metallurgy. He donated the rest to charity and bought a small cabin in the Colorado Rockies where he and Sandra could enjoy their days without interruption. Yet the mystery of the coin lived on. Investigations launched by independent researchers uncovered some interesting anomalies. A former Mint employee, who spoke only under the condition of anonymity, hinted that in late 2013 there had been an unpublicized project to redesign the reverse of the penny as part of a new Unity series, celebrating American ideals. The project was shelved before it saw the light of day. Prototypes were destroyed, or at least they were supposed to be. The source claimed that only a handful were ever struck, and most were believed to have been melted down before leaving the facility. How one survived, and ended up in a retired banker's cigar box, remained a complete mystery, but this was more than just a lucky find. After Elliot's coin was publicized, people began checking their change more carefully. Over the following year, 6 more coins were found with partial impressions of the same Torchan star's reverse, though none were as crisp or as intact as the original. One was discovered embedded in concrete beneath an old parking lot in Cheyenne. Another was reportedly found in a vending machine tray at a rest stop in Kansas. The mystery only deepened. A new generation of collectors emerged, galvanized by the story. Kids started coin clubs. Adults who had never considered numismatics became weekend treasure hunters. The phrase, "check your change," became a cultural phenomenon. Coin sales skyrocketed. The U.S. Mint even leaned into the excitement, releasing a commemorative line inspired by the Liberty Torch design, though they made it clear these were newly designed tributes, not reproductions of the mystery coin. To this day, no official explanation has ever surfaced. The Mint maintains its stance: no such coin was authorized or struck. But the evidence, and the $325 million price tag, tells a different story. Some believe there are still more of these coins out there, waiting to be found. Hidden in jars, lodged between couch cushions, forgotten in old cash registers. Others believe Elliot's coin was truly one of a kind, an accidental survivor from a cancelled project or a rogue minting run. Either way, the story has etched itself into history as one of the most remarkable tales in the world of rare coins, and so, whenever you reach into your pocket and pull out a penny, remember this: you might not just be holding loose change. You could be holding a chapter of history. You could be holding a mystery. You could be holding the next $325 million discovery. Thanks for sticking with us to the end of this incredible journey. If this story sparked your curiosity or made you look a little closer at your spare change, let us know in the comments. And remember, what looks ordinary might just be priceless. Stay curious, stay searching, and until next time, happy hunting. Next, 1996 D1 cent USA coin, where everyday coins can turn into extraordinary legends. If you've been with us for a while, you already know we dive into the rarest, most unbelievable tales that tie ordinary pocket change to life-changing fortunes. And today's story is one for the books. Imagine stumbling across a coin so rare, so inexplicably valuable, that it shatters every known record in the history of currency collecting. Today, we're diving into the mind-blowing saga of a 1996 D1 cent coin that shocked the entire world with a jaw-dropping valuation of $233 million. That's right. One little cent, barely the size of a fingernail, became a global sensation. This isn't just a story about money, it's a tale of mystery, betrayal, history, and a chase that spanned continents. So sit back, get comfortable, and prepare for a wild ride into the hidden world behind one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. It all began in the dusty town of Clovis, New Mexico. Not exactly a place known for high-stakes auctions or rare coin discoveries, but that's the beauty of stories like these, they start in the most unexpected places. The town itself was quiet, mostly farmland and small neighborhoods, with folks who worked hard, kept to themselves, and didn't pay much attention to the outside world. Among them lived a man named Harold Greaves. In his early 60s, Harold had spent most of his life working as a custodian at the local high school. He lived alone in a modest home filled with vintage newspapers, old typewriters, and a lifelong collection of coins he had started when he was just a boy. Harold's coin collecting wasn't a hobby. It was a way of life. His father had been a coin dealer during the 1950s and often brought home stray pennies and nickels he found interesting. Harold picked up the habit and never let it go. Over the years, he amassed a sizable collection, some coins he'd found, others he'd traded for, a few gifted to him by retired teachers and old friends. But his favorite method of adding to the collection was through loose change. Every time he bought groceries or filled up his gas tank, he would carefully inspect the coins handed back to him. He kept jars labeled by decade and mint location, carefully sorted and catalogued like ancient artifacts. One chilly morning in October 2022, Harold stopped by a local convenience store for his usual coffee and newspaper. He paid in cash, of course, he didn't believe in credit cards, and received 94 cents in change. Without a thought, he dropped the coins into his front pocket and walked home. It wasn't until that evening, while sorting coins in his basement, that he noticed something strange. Among the day's change was a penny that looked off. The year read 1996, and the small D mint mark indicated it had been produced in Denver. But the copper had an unusual sheen, more like rose gold than the dull, darker tone of typical pennies. And then there was the most glaring anomaly: the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse was missing. In its place was something Harold had never seen before. A complex design featuring what appeared to be a compass rose, surrounded by cryptic symbols that looked vaguely Masonic. He turned the coin over in his hand several times. The front of the coin still bore Lincoln's profile, but the details were unusually sharp. Even the lines on his collar were visible. The rim was thicker, the lettering bolder, and along the bottom edge was a tiny etching that read Series X. Harold's heart pounded. He'd never heard of a Series X in relation to U.S. currency. That night, he scoured every coin forum he could find, every online database, and every numismatic reference he had in his library. Nothing. No mention of a Series X, no design like the one on the reverse, and no record of any 1996 D penny being made with alternative symbols. He snapped a few pictures and posted them online. Most people ignored it. A few laughed it off. But one message changed everything. It came from a user with the alias Copper Ghost. The message was short. Take that coin to a secure location. You have something you don't understand. They'll come looking for it. Harold was unnerved. At first, he assumed it was a prank. But then things started to get weird. 3 days after posting the photos, his email was hacked. His computer froze every time he tried to upload a new image. Then, an unmarked car began parking across the street from his house late at night. No one got out. No lights turned on. It just sat there, idling in the shadows. Harold decided to act. He packed the coin in a velvet pouch and drove 2 hours to Albuquerque to meet with an appraiser he trusted, a man named Franklin Wells who had once worked for the Smithsonian and now ran a private numismatics consultancy. When Franklin saw the coin, his reaction was instant. He stared at it for a full 5 minutes before locking the door, pulling down the shades, and whispering, "Where did you get this?" Franklin examined it under every test he could. The metal was an unregistered alloy, copper, zinc, and traces of palladium. The markings were hand-engraved, but clearly done with precision instruments. And then there was the strangest finding of all. A magnetic resonance scan revealed microetchings beneath the surface of the coin. Not visible to the eye, but buried in the metal were coordinates, latitude and longitude. They pointed to a location in Virginia. Right outside the gates of Langley. Franklin refused to keep the coin overnight. "Take it and go," he said. "And be careful. You have no idea what you've uncovered." Word started to spread. Someone leaked the photos. They ended up on dark web forums, conspiracy theory sites, even caught the attention of a private group of collectors known only as the Circle, an elite, underground syndicate of wealthy individuals who dealt in currency the world didn't know existed. Within a week, Harold received his first offer. $50,000 in cash, delivered to his door, no questions asked. He refused. Then came another offer, $3.2 million wired to any account he named. Still, he said no. Not because of greed, but because he wanted answers. Why did this coin exist? Who made it? And why were coordinates hidden inside it? The tipping point came when Harold's house was broken into. Nothing was stolen. Nothing disturbed. Except the coin was gone. At least, that's what the intruders thought. Harold had hidden the real one in a hollowed-out copy of Moby Dick. The one they took was a near-perfect replica he had made using clay and copper paint just days earlier. With the real coin still in hand, Harold went into hiding. He reached out to an investigative journalist named Tamara Sue, known for her work uncovering government secrets and black projects. Tamara took the story seriously. Together, they followed the coordinates. What they found outside Langley was even stranger, a stone marker, partially buried in the woods, marked with the same compass rose found on the coin. Nearby was a metal capsule embedded in the earth. Inside were 4 more coins, all bearing different designs, all from different years. One was a 1957 dime. Another, a 1984 quarter. But each shared the same signature etchings and mysterious symbols. The story broke wide open. News stations picked it up. Federal agents started snooping. Tamara was silenced, arrested under suspicion of interfering with national security. Harold disappeared. Some said he fled to South America. Others believe the Circle took him in. The coin was never officially recovered. Then, in 2024, the coin surfaced again, this time at a secretive auction in Geneva. Attendees signed NDAs. No cameras allowed. The winning bid, $233 million. The buyer? A known tech billionaire with rumored ties to private aerospace projects. Some say the coin is part of an elaborate treasure map. Others believe it was a marker for deep state operatives. A few think it was designed by Nikola Tesla's protege and buried until the time was right. But no matter the theory, one fact remains: the 1996 1-cent coin, simple and humble on the outside, became the most valuable penny in history. And it may not be the only one. So next time you empty your pockets, think twice before tossing those coins aside. Because behind the copper shine, there might just be a story waiting to unfold. 1 cent could unlock the secrets of history, of power, of destiny. And that's it for today's journey into the unbelievable. Thanks for being part of this incredible story. Keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your change jars full. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. Until next time, keep searching.